Happy Black Friday, everyone. Hopefully, everyone had a great Thanksgiving with family and friends. And first, want to say I'm very thankful that y'all have found the Middle School AD podcast and are continuing to listen and really enjoy what we're doing and bringing information and topics to the middle school athletic director. So again, I just want to say thank y'all as well for coming along on this journey with us. Today, I think we got another great one. We have Lyndsay Watts, who is the Assistant Athletic Director for Enid Public Schools in Oklahoma. Within her role, she is the head middle school AD for the district. So on this episode, we discuss how can we support our coaches from the AD level, whether that's taking things off their plates, whether that's helping them with practices, helping them with paperwork, parents, whatever the need be. There's a lot in this discussion. So before we get into that, though, I do want to mention again, please stop by and see us in Orlando at the Meet the Podcaster event on Sunday night. You can stop by the Box Out booth or stop by the Vital Signs booth to get more information. But again, that is sponsored by our title sponsor, Vital Signs, and we look forward to that, and we look forward to meeting everyone. And Lyndsay has said that she would be there too. So if you want to put a face with a voice and meet her in person, she'll be there as well. So again, look forward to it. Hope you enjoy this episode. But before we dive in, here's a word from our sponsors.
Bring your school's legacy to life with the Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. Our interactive display highlights your greatest moments and top performers, both past and present, across athletics, academics, and the arts. But it's also so much more. With our one-of-a-kind content program, we help you every step of the way so you can tell more compelling stories that will engage your whole community.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
This is Game Time. Neptune Game Time creates a high-energy game day atmosphere that your players and fans will love. Every song in our database is 100% lyric safe, which means you can stop screening music for good. Game Time also provides custom messaging to help you promote your upcoming events, concessions, and event-specific announcements. And it gives you the opportunity to sell sponsorships on your station that will generate revenue for your athletic department. Amp up your game day with Game Time.
Welcome to another episode of the Middle School Athletic Director Podcast. I believe we got a good one today. We're going to jump right into it, but first want to introduce who we're speaking with today. We are going all the way to the state of Oklahoma. Got a chance to meet this AD while I was at the Border States Summit back this past August. So that's another thing. I know you've heard us talk about different things, but if you are from those states, please make sure you check out the Border State Summit. They are moving it to the middle of July. Even if you're not from those states, I know they welcome anybody to come. It's just like a miniature NADC, if you want to say. So please check out Border State Summits. We'll have more information as that time comes. But who we are speaking with is Lyndsay Watts. She is the district middle school athletic director. She is the assistant AD to the high school athletic director, but she focuses mainly on the middle school side of it with Enid Public Schools there in Oklahoma. So Lyndsay, thank you for jumping on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. What a great opportunity.
Oh yeah, like I say, as soon as we connected, I think I put out on one of the AD forums that I need guests too, and you were one of the first ones to say, hey, I'm all in. So
I was so excited when I saw it. I was like, I'm in.
Yeah,
sign me up. Put me in, coach.
It was great. Again, loved meeting you down at the border. Well, up for me, up in the border states, and we had some great conversations then and conversations since with how to promote our student athletes and things like that. So definitely a fun time. But let people know a little bit about who you are and kind of your journey to where you are as an athletic administrator.
Well, This is, like you said, this is my second year as assistant AD here in Enid Public Schools. Big focus of mine is middle schools. Prior to that, I was the head swim coach here for 7 years. Before that, I started a swim program at a small Catholic college here in Oklahoma. So, I mean, I don't know, my passion for just serving others and helping the world become a better place through what I'm blessed to be able to do, coaching and now athletic administration. It's all just kind of tied together, and I don't know, just have a blast doing what I do, supporting others and helping grow other people.
Oh yeah, like I said, definitely could feel that passion from the first time we met this past August. So yeah, that was one of those. Again, definitely had to get you on and have another conversation with you.
Yeah, I had a blast talking to you. It was really fun. I learned a lot from you that day, not just about the vendor stuff that you were selling with Box Out, which, by the way, we have purchased and it's phenomenal. Our coaches are loving it. Side note. But truly talking to you about some different AD tips and tricks was really impactful. Oh, sorry, the bell. Really impactful for me. So thank you for bringing your wisdom to the table that day.
Yeah, no worries. That's, Box Out is a sponsor of this podcast, so I know they always enjoy a shout out. So definitely thank you to Box Out for supporting us and being there, like you said, at the border states. But
Yes.
before we dive into the meat of things, we always like to get to know you a little bit more. But maybe, what is a hobby that you do, maybe that people don't know about, or maybe that people do know about, but that you really enjoy, that kind of gets you away from the world of athletic administration?
Well, much like yourself, through our conversations, I learned that you are kind of a workaholic. I cannot leave work at work. I wake up in the middle of the night thinking of all the ideas and have to get out my phone and type them in or I'll forget. But one thing I do to try and escape, unsuccessfully escaping, but escaping in a sense, is my family and I like to camp. We not tent camp, don't get me wrong. We glamp. So we actually have a trip scheduled for this Saturday. We'll be gone through next Wednesday, and then we'll come home and do Thanksgiving as a family here in Enid. But last year we actually went camping and everyone met us at the campsite. We fried our turkey right there on the campsite and it was phenomenal. It was a really, really good time. Like, my parents came, my brother came from San Antonio, my in-laws here from Enid came down. We were in Southern Oklahoma and it was awesome. So camping is kind of our place where I don't have to think about cleaning the house. I don't have to think about coaching our coaches. I don't have to think about, I still do, we always do. But think about all the plans that I have to make. Like, it's a little bit of an escape. And I have 2 little kids, a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old. So they enjoy just being outdoors and hiking and fishing and all the things. So that's my one little escape that I really truly have.
Yeah, it's so hard to get away. Like I say, I know everyone's heard the meaning behind AD, right? AD is all day, after dark, and all duties.
All duties, yeah.
So it doesn't stand for athletic director, which we wish it did.
No, you're 100% accurate on that.
Yeah. So especially at the middle school level, where you're having to do other things than just be the AD, right? A lot of high schools, the AD is able to focus solely on being the AD. We're at middle school. I mean, you're either probably a teacher or a counselor or an assistant principal or something else is tied in to that role. Because I know there's a few schools out there in the nation that are big enough to have a full-time middle school AD in the buildings, but they are very far and few between. So it definitely kind of goes into what we were discussing. But yeah, time to get away is vital, especially like I said, if you do have a family and things like that. And we went on a family vacation this past summer, and I think my phone tells you every week or so what your report is.
Oh yeah.
And mine was down, like it said, like I was on my phone like 60-70% less than what I normally am. And my wife, of course, ate that alive. She goes, "See, you can put it down."
But
But
it's so hard when your mind has to be at work because you know you're going to be back there tomorrow morning. It's so hard to turn that off when you're like, well, 4 people have emailed me and I've got to write down all these notes to do the social media post for tomorrow and all the things. Like our brains just don't stop as ADs all
well,
day, all duties, after dark, all the time.
that's right.
All
And
the
that's what
things.
it just like you said. I mean, the worst part is when I'm laying at night, when I finally get to lay down, that's my brain starts going, hey, you got to do
Yes.
this, and this, and this, and this, and this. I'm like, come on, you know. So
Uh-huh.
then you can't go to sleep. But then I reach over, pull up the phone, bring up the notes, and write down what I'm thinking about. But now my brain's been stimulated again because I've pulled the
Yes.
phone out, and
Yeah. The idea you had, now you have to actually plan through what that's going to look like
yeah.
logistically, and then you start thinking of all yes, you're not
I
alone,
slept.
my friend.
I slept better like before a big interview at a school the night before than I did whenever I just had a checklist to do before a big game.
Oh yeah,
And
so
so
much better.
yeah, and I'm like, you would think you'd be a little more stressed about the big interview or the big
No,
presentation or big whatever it is, but I'm stressing the most about it's a big contest, and again,
yeah,
I could put on a game just like probably any of us in my sleep, right? We've been doing this
yeah.
for a while. I know my routine,
But
but
here's the deal: the difference is when you're prepping for just an interview or something, that's for you. When you're
Mhm.
stressing about all the things you need to do for the school, it's not about you. It's about all the other people it impacts: your student athletes, your fans, their families, all the things. So yeah, it's definitely a different game when you try and sleep before something for yourself versus for others.
And I definitely have to go back and recheck confirmations to make sure officials are covered
Yes.
or security if we need security or whatever.
Yes.
But yeah, because I've got luckily it was a scrimmage, but I've got hit. I got hit 1 year with officials didn't show up because I inputted for the officials, but I input it in the wrong place.
Oh no.
And so it was my first year there and first year doing it with those officials, and that's what people are like, where's the officials? Like, I put it in, looking at the basketball coach, I said,
Yeah.
I put it in, and we
Yeah.
went and checked and called the head person. They're like, yeah, that's the wrong one. I'm like, oh. So
Oh no.
we called the JV coaches that day and said, all
No.
right, y'all were officiating the varsity game. So, you know, well, I
No.
said luckily it was a scrimmage, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
It's truly so hard to think of all the things. We had I didn't confirm a football game this year. And of course, the one I don't confirm, they don't show up. And it was a middle school game, of course. And everyone's sitting there. We have 3 different feeder middle schools, and this is the largest of the 3. All the fans show up at this one. Everyone's sitting there like, well, where's the other team? And we call and we find out we were never on their schedule. How we missed it is beyond me,
Mhm.
but you feel terrible refunding all the money for all the people. We ended up like scrimmaging our like a blue versus white kind
Yeah.
of thing. So they had something to watch, but still refunded all the money. Oh, it's such a nightmare. And you just feel terrible because it's not what's best for the
Mhm.
kids. And yeah, it's hard being the person that does the things for sure.
Oh yeah. I say, definitely if you're not a checklist person, you become one very quickly in
Oh yeah.
some
Oh
form or
yes.
fashion.
Speaking of
And-
checklist, hey, I actually I'm moving right into things if you're okay with that.
no, it's good.
Because your checklist made me think of it. We have our largest feeder middle school. Our entire middle school coaching staff for basketball is brand new this year. 3 coaches on the girls' side and 3 coaches on the boys' side. None of them have coached in our athletic department before. And we're leading into the first game, and one of them had asked me a question, another one had asked me a different question. And I was like, why am I not helping them more? So I developed a like beginning of the week and then on the day of the game checklist for them. And literally so many of them were like, oh my goodness, this was the support we've been needing. It's like on Monday, make sure to confirm all the games because we do empower our coaches to do that. I definitely do it also though, just to be safe. But we empower our coaches to do that. So Monday, confirm all of your games for the week. Don't just say, hey, we're coming to you on Thursday. Say, hey, we're coming to you on Thursday. We've got 7th grade girls at 4, 7th grade boys at 5, and so on. And so we have that. And then all of the things on game day. Make sure you have your water bottles. Make sure you have your scorebook with you. Make sure that you've done your DCA list appropriately. I don't know what you call it there, but DCA list is like your do not count absent list. Make sure you've sent it to the appropriate person in your office. Make sure you've cross-referenced with the eligibility list and make sure you're not DCAing anyone that's ineligible. Make sure that you've communicated with the parents exactly when and where this game's going to be and when you anticipate coming home, if they need to send money for food, all of the things. So we've got this big long checklist. And I sent it as a PDF so that there's some hyperlinks in there of a document that I used to send out as a coach to my parents on meet day. Well, leading up to meet day, said exactly what time we were leaving, where we were leaving from, what the address was of the facility we were going to, what time the meet started, what we were doing afterward for dinner, what time we anticipated being home, all of the things on it. And so there are a couple of different items in the checklist that are hyperlinked for them so that they have all of the resources that they needed to feel success, because it's the worst when you're thrown into something and someone's like, just get the job done. You're like, I don't really know the job and I don't know how to accomplish the things that I don't know. So checklists, amazing. I'm going to reiterate what you said. If you aren't already doing checklists, do checklists. They're so helpful.
Yeah, so some form or fashion of a checklist, right? There's so many different ways you could do it now.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I live by checklists, and that's, one of the things we teach in 613 is the Google Keep. And because now it's a live active checklist. So, if my coach normally does let's talk about basketball because we're going into basketball season. Yeah. If my coach knows, okay, here's all the things we got to get done. So as the AD, again, I was, at the middle school, I was a PE teacher and the AD. So normally even my last class, when we were wrapping up, I'd go ahead and start setting up the chairs, or I'd bring out the scores table or something like that. And so then I would be able to go in to Google Keep and check off, chairs, scores table, whatever. And so then my coach, whenever they got done with their teaching obligation at the end of the day, they opened up the Google Keep and they say, oh, okay, the AD already took care of the chairs and the scores table. I need to sweep the floor. I need to get the water jugs. I need to whatever. And then that way, we're not missing each other or trying to run each other or trying to call each other and say, hey, what have you done? What are we missing? Once the season starts going on, you kind of, figure it out and you don't have to use it as much, but we still used it, because there may be a day that I got swamped with something, or I had to deal with something, with something with PE, and I couldn't put the chairs out. I couldn't put the scores table out. And so when that coach goes on there, he looks at the thing and said, oh, he didn't get a chance to do it. So I'm going to get my team to come help or whatever. But yeah,
that's brilliant. I haven't even heard of Google Keep.
Yeah. So Google Keep is a
oh my gosh,
free checklist. I mean, just like anything in Google, it's free. So it's a checklist. It's an active checklist. And when you check it off, it actually marks off and goes to the bottom as completed. And a lot of people use it for like grocery lists and things like that. But, I've used it for obviously game day checklist as well, because especially, if you've got an outdoor facility, there may be a lot of different areas you got to go to. So instead of both myself and the coach, or if you have an assistant AD or a assistant coach or whatever, we're not all covering each other's tracks and just going in circles. They're able to look and see, okay, he's unlocked concession, or he's put the ticket table out or whatever, right there from your phone. Just like in anything in Google, right? It's very shared.
And it's live. So when one person marks something off, the other person can see it in real time.
You see it. Yeah.
This is brilliant. It would especially be helpful for me because as the assistant AD, I'm actually housed at the high school. I'm just focused more on middle school. Well, I'm supposed to be the person that focuses on middle school stuff. So I do rely a lot on what we call campus coordinators. It's just an additional stipend. They teach all day and both of them coach as well. We have one at each of two of our middle schools. But that would be phenomenal when I'm going over there for a basketball game to know, oh, Coach Cumpston has already put this out and he's already gotten the scorebook. He's already gotten our practice balls out so the kids can be ready for warm up. And I know what I need to bring when I'm coming or what I need to do when I get there to set up. That is phenomenal because he might do it during 6th hour and maybe the gym's not used during 7th hour, but I can get there and do what he hasn't done. Oh, I love that. I'm looking into it. We're going to start utilizing Google Keep. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Google Keep's the way to go. So again, shameless plug. And when this goes, I think this is actually going to drop Black Friday. So when you're out doing all your shopping and listening to us speak, if you're coming to Orlando and haven't signed up for a LTC class on Monday morning is 6:13. It is everything Google. So I'm actually the course chair for that. So you will come hang out with me for about 4 hours. And we always joke and say you pay $85 to take an LCC at NADC, but what you walk out of 613 with, you probably walk out of with $400, $500 worth of time, because we give you every single example we have. Like one of the co-hosts actually says, if nothing else, you walk out with my budget spreadsheet that took me forever to make, and I just give it to you. So
as a former educator, I was a special education teacher. But as a former educator, that was a huge frustration in PD. Was I would go to a PD and they're like, you need to make sure that you have great classroom discipline. You need to make sure you do this, that, or the other thing, but no one gave you any tools with which to do it. So I love that when they leave that 613 course, they're going to have all of these things that they just now need to like modify and make their own. Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. I love that.
And that ties right. Monday. I mean, they sign up. If you're not doing anything Monday morning, sign up for it. That ties along with what we're talking about, is supporting your coaches, right? ADs support ADs. Like you said, by going to all these PDs and going to the conferences, whether it's the national or the state. Hopefully you're able to walk away with something, right? And it's us supporting each other. But we've got to do that for the coaches, right? So, yes, I'm a big Google person, obviously, but so I'd be the one that would kind of create all these Google forms, these Google Docs, these Google whatever for my coaches, and then just say, look, here's the link, right? I'll share it. You're a collaborator. You can edit it, whatever you want, but here's the link, send it out.
Yes.
Or I'll send it out and I'll get all the data for you and just tell you what the data is if it's something that can easily be relayed like that. But so that kind of goes right along into the topic is what can we do as ADs, other like we hit the checklist. I think the checklist is huge. Just how
setting up for a game is on the smallest of all of our things, though, right?
Yeah. So what can we do as ADs, especially at the middle school level, like you said, where sometimes we need support because we're teaching or assistant principal or whatever too. But what can we do to help those coaches? Because a lot of, if you are blessed, luckily the school that I'm with right now, we're actually blessed to have all of our head coach. Well, all but one of our head coaches for the middle school is in the building. They are teachers.
Amazing.
So we have 7 sports that the middle school provides, and then we have some that they go play JV and all that at high school, but particularly 7 middle school sports, and 6 out of the 7 head coaches are in the building, which is not heard of.
No.
And so most of the time that when we have coaches at the middle school level, they're a dad, they're a mom, they're a community member, there's they maybe coach the travel team, right? They coach the club team, which is a whole nother world, right?
Very different in pay to play.
So, so how do we help? Because, as an educator, sometimes you think, well, they got a whole lot more time than I do because they don't, their schedule may not be as strictly laid out as an educator's, right? Because, but like I said, they might not know all the ins and outs and the red tapes and all the stuff we got to jump through in education. So, maybe just start the discussion. How do we support or try to support our middle school coaches the best?
Well, we found that like we preach, like head coach, this is your program, grade 7 through 12. Like you need to make sure that you're there. You need to make sure you're coaching your coaches. And we found that just telling them to do that at the varsity level, obviously a big focus is on trying to be the most competitive program you can be, right? And sometimes they lose sight of building that 7th grade program is going to contribute to that, because that's not for another 6 years, right? 5-6 years. So we were spewing that all the time, like get with them, but we weren't doing our part in our office and providing them with the opportunity to get with their coaches. Yes, they could have scheduled a meeting whenever, but when that's not where your mind is focused, that's not That's not what you're doing, right? So we kind of fell into that last year, finding that our middle school coaches weren't being, not that they weren't being supported by the head coach, but just the time wasn't there to, time wasn't being made to vertically align. So we started with, hey, coaches, we need to know, head coaches, we need to know what your vertical alignment looks like. Our AD at the time, Billy Tips, he's now at Bentonville in Arkansas, but he and I sat down and we kind of created this vertical alignment document together to push out to our coaches to say, in 7th grade, these are the things, this is the terminology, and these are the plays that our players need to know before they get to 8th grade. In 8th grade, and so on, all the way up through the varsity level. And so once we had them do that, again, we created the document to make it really easy for them, because as you mentioned, educators are so busy, right? Teaching all day and planning for practices and practicing till 6 p.m. sometimes, and then having to like go visit a kid at home who's having a hard time, or whatever that looks like for the head coaches. It was just so much. So we created the document for them to simply fill it out as easy as it could be. And then once we did that, we threw on them, hey, now you need to make sure that your middle school coaches are doing this. Let us know when you've done it. And we were like, TikTok, waiting. And no one was letting us know because everyone was so busy. So instead of just waiting around, we gave it a couple weeks. And instead of waiting around any longer, we scheduled a vertical alignment meeting. And our track coaches, for example, the middle school track teams all come up to the high school and they practice together, all at the high school on the track. And so the track coaches were like, oh man, like we're with our middle school coaches every day. Like, do we really need to do this? And we were like, yes, you still need to be there. So we get all the season specific coaches. So we did it in the winter and we did it in the spring, right? So we'll use the spring ones because I already mentioned track. So we get all of our spring coaches together. It's the high school head coach, and then all the middle school coaches. If they wanted to have the high school assistants, they could, but most of them didn't. So we get them all together for this meeting that they were very reluctant to attend. And we went through a couple of reminders and expectations, the basic, make sure you're checking eligibility, all that kind of stuff. And then we were like, all right, split into your teams, into your programs. And we want you guys to talk about what the expectations are from the head coach down to the middle school coaches. What are you expecting from your middle schools? What kinds of things do they need to know? Make sure you share your vertical alignment, because we had them bring it with them. Do your thing. We want you to stay at least 5-10 minutes. Like an hour later, we were literally shoving all the people out. The people that didn't want to be there at all, we are shoving them out because they thoroughly enjoyed sitting down without the kids all like, hey, coach, hey, coach, hey, coach, because you can never get them away from you to have an adult conversation at practice. So they really, really ended up enjoying this time together to vertically align, to talk about what a sprinter's practice at the middle school level for a kid who's never run competitively before, what that needs to look like, so that by the time they're at the high school level and hopefully the varsity level, how they will progress from here to here, I guess, if I'm doing it backwards, teacher style, from here to here. So they ended up really, really enjoying it. So that's one thing that we do. We really try and recognize our middle school coaches, because as you mentioned, like those middle school coaches, we have a few that are Johnny's dad or Jenny's dad that, oh, well, I coached her T-ball team, so you guys don't have anybody, I'll step in. And they don't understand specifically education-based athletics. As you mentioned, it's very different from travel ball, from club, from whatever. So different. The purpose behind it is vastly different. So helping them understand that we are educating through athletics as our mission statement in our particular department. We want to make sure that we are educating kids. We want to make sure that at the 7th grade, we're not just playing those 5 boys that are rock stars who have been playing together since they were on the 3-year-old basketball team at the Y. Like, those shouldn't be the only 5 on the court. We need to make sure that we are developing little Johnny, who's never played before because his parents weren't very involved. And he has a lot of potential possibly, but he's never going to reach that potential if we don't get him in the game. So really, like, doing things like meeting with our coaches and making sure to share our philosophy, making sure that they understand what our purpose is in existing as education-based athletics is huge. And that's really, like, for a lot of our, like you mentioned, those parent coaches, it's really been eye-opening for them. It's truly been eye-opening for them. But back to basics, like getting in with them, sitting down with them, walking them through the eligibility list and showing them how they can pick out their kids or how they need to cross-reference that with their lineups for the game on Thursday or whatever that looks like. I think all of those things have really been things that we've done to help support our middle school coaches. Again, with me not being in the building, it's difficult, but I do want to talk a little bit about the structure of our athletic department.
Yeah, I wanted to swing back
go ahead.
So you're talking about the meetings, unless they are an educator and they, well, even some educators don't understand the importance of PD, but
yes,
even if they are an educator and they know about the importance there, but a lot of coaches that come from the outside, come from the corporate world, come from the club travel, don't understand the importance of professional growth, right?
Oh, yes.
And so even and that's what I've done, even if, allowing and providing the opportunity for these coaches to go to some PD. Like so I know here in South Carolina, we actually have a dead week. Our coaches association puts on a great conference every week in the summer, and the high school league shuts down. Everything shuts down. It's a dead week. But a lot of coaches, especially schools that I've gone to that haven't had any type of not requirement but suggestion for PD and things like that. A lot of coaches were like, "Oh yeah, well I use that week as my vacation week. We go on vacation that week because that's the dead week, right? We can't practice. We can't do anything like that." I'm like, no. This is the week you need to be at the conference. That's the whole reason. One, it shuts down because we want you all to go to the conference, but you need to be there. Our coach association does a great job by bringing in college coaches, by bringing in professional coaches, by bringing in motivational speakers or whatever. Every sport has a day that is designated to them. Some sports have 2 or 3. But every sport has at least a full day that's designated to them with different speakers and PD and things like that. And fine, take the week. But if your sport's meeting on Monday of that conference, go Monday and then go on vacation Tuesday through Friday. And I'll pay for you to go. I mean, it's not like it's going to cost you anything like that. This is, the support that we're going to give as a school, as an athletic department, is we're going to give you the opportunity to go. And that's the hardest thing is getting them to understand that. And even if your state doesn't have something like that, I've also, paid for all my my head coaches. I would offer it to assistant coaches if they wanted it, but I kind of made it quote unquote mandatory for the head coaches to have at least the AIC certification in NFHS. Now I think it's level 1, level 2 it's changed.
Yes. Yeah, level 1, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, that was something I paid for. I paid for you to take your sports class that's in the NFHS. I paid for you to take the fundamentals. Our district paid for the CPR stuff that was in there. So again, there's no excuse for you not to learn. And especially, I mean, that fundamentals class is great for any outside coach that's coming into interscholastic athletics.
Absolutely.
But I mean, but anyway, back to what you were saying about the coaches that said they didn't want to be there. I think it's, we all have that issue is getting them to the conference, getting them to the PD,
yes,
getting them to the meeting. But once you get them there, they're hooked.
Yes.
Right. And they're like, "Oh, this is great. I've been missing this." I mean,
Absolutely.
I walked out. I had a basketball coach. He said, at first he's like, "I don't want to come to this," but he went, and the next day he said, "Man, I had to go buy another notebook because I wrote down so much stuff." He said, "Now I don't know if I'll be able to use it, but at least I wrote down and was able to get some different ideas and things like that." And so again, I don't know what the answer is on and how to get them there, other than some type of incentive. Usually, if it's something in house, I try to provide.
We
food.
Feed them.
Yeah, I try to buy food.
Yeah, we feed them. That works.
Or if you don't come to this meeting, you don't get your gear, right? You don't get your polo or your pullover or something.
Yes. I actually have a box of polos in my office. Our head coaches don't get their brand new polo until they come in here and let me take a picture of them so that our website looks more streamlined. So I've got a box of polos because they don't want to come in. Actually, they're not even in a box. They're all folded by size in Sonic to go like drink holders. Yeah. So that this is the size, these are the larges, these are the extra larges. Yeah. So I have a whole bunch of Sonic things in my office because I don't know if they do this everywhere, but Sonic is it means I love you in
Yeah.
Oklahoman. So if you bring someone a Sonic drink, it means you appreciate and care for them. So I've got lots of Sonic container or Sonic to go things in my
Oh, I
office.
didn't know. I didn't know that. I want those.
Yes, which I should be bringing Sonic drinks to our middle school coaches.
There you go. Get the one with the
Everyone here
nerds
knows
in
that's
it.
how you say I love you. There's a tip, everybody. Bring a
Yeah.
Sonic drink to your coaches. Just little things. It costs $1 during happy hour.
Yeah.
And it's something so small and insignificant that really does truly mean a lot to your staff. So doing little things like that. Sorry, our bells keep going off and I don't know how to turn them off in the office. Doing little things like that for your staff will help. Sorry.
Very fine.
Oh my gosh. It will help with the retention of your coaches, because truly that's our ultimate goal, is obviously to serve our students. But in order to serve our students, we have to make sure we're serving our coaches. And if they do not feel like they are set up for success, they will certainly not return. So like you said, don't just have a meeting to have a meeting. Have a meeting to give them something that they can take with them and use and help them to save time. You're giving them another task, yes, but you're giving them the most efficient way to accomplish the task. You've done the back end work, like developing the spreadsheet of the budget, right? You've done the back end work, the hard part. All they need to do is put their information in. So I think that that's like a really key piece in supporting middle school coaches, definitely, is making sure they're communicated with, making sure that they are heard, and making sure that they're set up for success.
Yeah. Well, I always thought it was a great success at the end of the year if all my middle school coaches were coming back. I'm like, man, this is great.
Absolutely.
I don't have to go search for a new middle school coach. And that was actually became part of my interview, was like, all right, look, I get it. You may be a dad or you may be a community member, but we're looking for somebody that's going to invest in this program and be here for a while.
Yes.
Now we understand things happen. If varsity comes calling and you've got a great opportunity to coach at the varsity level, we understand, things happen, but we don't want someone to just come in for a year and then disappear and we never see you again. Right. So, at least if you go to the JV or the varsity level, the students still see you as it moves up. But, no, yeah, that is, that's a big deal. I thought about something when you were talking and it just left my brain. About retain. So I also have a report card, an athletic report card that I do at the end of every year. It tells participation percentages, male, female, grades, grade level. It tells you how many numbers were from, how many kids maybe tried out for basketball, how many how actually made it, or whatever sport. And then we do that for a 4 or 5 year cycle. And then we just rotate it every after that. So then we can hopefully all those numbers are growing, right?
Yes.
Hopefully the participation numbers are growing. The grades are getting better, things like that. But I also have a column on there on retention of coaches. And that is a huge column to me, because then I'm able to see, again, we understand things happen. And if I've only got 7 head coaches at the middle school level, and I lose one, it's going to bring that percentage way down. Right. So, you've got to obviously look at it and see, if I'm 75, 80% of retention coaches, then I'm great, because usually that means there's just one left. And so, that's always, a big push of mine too, is what can, like you said, what can I do to help them stay here? Now we understand life happens, some things happen and they don't want to leave, but they got to leave. But I don't want a coach coming to me and say, man, this was rough. This is not what I expected. And I just don't feel like I can do it anymore.
And that all goes back to like not feeling like they have the tools to be successful. It truly does. I mean, we had one of our coaches this fall. He's actually going to be coaching in the spring, but he came on as a PE teacher, had like some amazing epiphanies in life where he just wanted to make a difference. Right. So he was like, I'm going to go into education. I own these 3 really successful businesses. I want to go into education. Came into education and didn't have any training. No one talked to him about how to do classroom management in a PE class. Like no one talked to him about any of these things. So he was set up for failure from day one. And he just kept saying, I need support. And he never felt like he could succeed, and he left before the semester was even over. And I think that that's a huge eye-opening piece for us, that if people don't feel like they're successful, they are not staying, especially in education. Everyone's hurting for educators and coaches across the country. So we need to make sure that we are doing everything that we can to communicate, to support, to help them feel the success that they need to feel. One tool that we actually did last year, we found that the middle school level was having a really hard time with like getting transportation scheduled, because there's a million different things that need to be scheduled with 7th grade girls, 7th grade boys, 8th grade girls, 8th grade boys at 3 different middle schools, all going to different places. So this year in our schedule, we created a template for every single sport. And at the bottom, it says varsity. There's a tab for varsity, a tab for JV, a tab for 9th grade, and so on. And so each of the sports has to enter their roster or their schedule into that exact spreadsheet. But what we added, it was the date, the opponent, the address, because transportation had the hardest time getting an address. So we've added the address, what time the game is, who all is going, JV and varsity, 7th grade, 8th grade, only girls, whatever it is in that column. The next column is, what is your departure time? How many people are you taking on the bus with you? And then it ended with columns of who is the contact person at this opponent's school and how do we get a hold of them? So their name, I'm so sorry about the bells. Their name, their email address, their phone number, however it is you contact them. Basketball. Sorry, listeners, it's day in the life, my friends. But giving them those resources to put all of it on in one spot. And then we just take that and we send it over to transportation. Transportation has everything they need before the season even starts. Obviously, tournaments are a little bit different, but give your coaches the tools that they need to be successful. Don't all of a sudden the night before the first away game at the middle school level be like, hey, transportation called us, you haven't gotten with them yet. And they're like, we didn't know we needed to. Who do I call at transportation? What information do I give them? Oh, I need to know how many kids. Oh, and it's boys and girls together. Well, like, who's the girls coach? It eliminates all of those frustrating pieces from a new coach perspective by giving them all the tools they need right up front.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna have to steal that.
Impactful.
I'm gonna have to steal that spreadsheet from you and add it to 613 because I think that'd be very
for
beneficial.
sure. Yeah, it's on a Google sheet. I'll share it with you. It's so fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, what can we do to help out? So, yes, the coaches. I know I held my coaches to a high, standard, and I expected them to do their job, right? But
absolutely,
what can we do to kind of take some of that stuff off where all they have to do is show up and coach, right? Yes. They're still going to have to show up and paint the lines, and they're going to still have to show up and, have the rosters and set up the field and do things that a coach does.
Absolutely.
But what can I do to take all the paperwork away, right? So the coach gets to do.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to get rid of that.
That's fine.
Does that work?
Yeah. So
can you still hear it?
Yeah, you good. No, I can hear you. You're good.
Became a state in 1902.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is. All right. So, what can we do to get the paperwork away? Because that's the biggest thing is if we can take care of the paperwork, then we can take care of, helping these coaches just really show up to coach. We still got announcements going on.
Okay. No, sorry. I couldn't hear you at all, but I've unplugged from the network. So the announcements are still going on, but I have made it so that you don't have to hear them.
No, you good.
So I have no idea what you were saying because you were muted.
No, I was just saying that we try to do everything in our power to take away the paperwork side of it. They still got to do the on-field stuff, but, as much as we can to take that paperwork side away. So, you kind of mentioned what y'all do. So, I'll just kind of turn it over to you kind of, we've talked about a bunch of stuff, but maybe some things that y'all do to help support those coaches and that maybe some other people can take and use.
Well, really, I mean, as I mentioned, we asked our coaches to meet and we have now become the facilitators of the meeting, where we briefly, like no more than 3 or 4 minutes, talk about our reminders and expectations and then turn it over. And we've given our head coaches even like some guidelines, like these are the things you need to make sure that your middle school coaches understand. And then we turn it over to them and they just kind of take charge of their own program meetings. We're all in the same area, so I can float between the different groups, kind of make sure that track is keeping on tab with what they're supposed to be talking about. They're not just talking about whatever. But really it's an opportunity for them to not only learn the administrative tasks that are naturally a part of coaching. Aside from coaching on the court, we obviously have all those other things, but they can also talk about, like, I'm really having a hard time with getting little Johnny to buckle down and pay attention when I'm talking and quit fooling around and quit cheating and not touching the line. I don't know what to do. And someone at the high school level might be like, oh, I had his older brother. It was similar when I got him, and this is what I had to do to kind of reach him. So we can talk about all those kinds of things in those meetings too. So those have, like I mentioned, been really, really impactful for not only for our head coaches to know what's going on and all across the program, but for our middle school coaches to feel supported and valued and heard. We also have, we have, sorry, I had to look behind my computer. We have athletic department coins that we give when people are demonstrating. This is our little coin. When people are demonstrating what we call our championship traits, and we have lots of stuff going on. Sorry. We have a school creed here at the high school that we try and like push out to the middle schools as well. And we pulled kind of the 7 championship traits out of that creed and made those our traits that we want all of our student athletes, and really all of our students, to be demonstrating, as well as our coaches. So when we catch a coach like really having an unconquerable spirit in defeat is one of the lines of the creed. When we catch a coach demonstrating an unconquerable spirit in defeat, or talking to their student athletes about it, we try and make a big deal of it and like present them with a district coin. We're also a military town, so the military really plays a role in it because they do the coins. But it has seemed to be really impactful. People are really proud of their coins that they receive from our district and from our athletic department. So we try and do little things like that, again, to make them feel valued, make them feel heard, and make them feel supported. If your middle school coaches feel those 3 things, your retention is going to be better. And I love that you have retention as a part of your end of the season information page. I think that should also be a part of our varsity coaches, because if you have a lot of turnover in one program and not in another, it could be a cultural thing in the program because one sport is very different from another. But it could be reflective of the head coach. One thing that we also implemented last year to make our middle school coaches feel valued was we used Google Forms, and we asked for feedback. How often was your head coach at your games? How often did you see them at your practices? How communicative were they? Did they contact you once a week, twice a week, once a month? Not really ever. So things like that to help us address the root of some of the issues with them not feeling supported. How supported did you feel by the athletic department as a whole? What can we do differently to support the coaching staff next year? All those kinds of things. I'm huge on feedback, because how are we growing if we don't know how the people in our care are reacting to what we are trying to do? So
yeah, I gave
feedback.
I gave a survey just to my head coaches about me, because how am I supposed to support you if I don't know?
Exactly. Yes.
And so, it was 7 or 8 questions, very simple, but did you feel supported? And most of the time I was like, yes or no. But then it would get into deeper, was the AD visible? Was the AD, did you feel like you could approach the AD? Does the AD know your sport? I mean, and I will say that I have no clue about lacrosse. And I went to a school that had lacrosse, and so
had to learn.
Yeah, first thing I still don't know a clue. I don't know why they have longer sticks and shorter sticks and
I don't either, but we don't have it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand why they have 50 balls. I mean, I get why they have 50 balls around because they want to go shooting out, but if I throw it out of bounds, as long as my stick is closer to the sideline, I get the ball back. It's
what?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
I know nothing about lacrosse. Clueless.
But of course, my thing is holy crap, I don't know how to paint a lacrosse field. And so, having to go to the lacrosse coaches and say, hey, I need help,
Yes.
But still, as the AD, you should have a general knowledge of the sports, right?
Yes.
And hopefully that the coaches see that if you don't have a knowledge that you're willing to learn. And and I told my lacrosse coaches, I mean, look, I don't have a clue. Y'all are the experts. If anyone ever asks for a vote from the AD, I'm coming to y'all.
Absolutely.
Now, if it was
and not only willing to learn, but eager to learn about something that your people in your care are so passionate about.
Yeah. And now, if it was a soccer question, I don't need my. I mean, I do need my soccer. I don't want to say that wrong, but I don't need to go confront my soccer coaches about a rule setting because that's what I coached and played for my entire life.
Yeah.
But it's it's that, and how did you feel the support, not just physically but with money and things like that, and was the different things rotated, and so again, I always enjoyed that feedback, and I did the same with my coaches. I did walkthroughs with them, and people on here have probably heard me say before, the best feedback I ever got as a coach from my AD was just one of his little informal walkthroughs. And of course, when you see the AD pop up as a coach, you're like, oh, I'm checking every P's and Q's.
Yes.
If I do have a little note, practice note card in my pocket, I'm pulling it out, making sure doing everything. And so, I mean, I thought the practice went great. And again, it wasn't much because my practices, there's not a lot of downtime anyway. It wasn't much different than normal, but the AD pulled me aside a couple of days later and say, hey, I just want to go over this. I like this and this and this. He said, but I do have one thing. I'm like, oh, here we go. He said, when you pulled the girls in, because I was coaching girls soccer, when you pulled them in, I'm going, what did I do wrong with this one? I mean, I only kept them for 2 or 3 seconds. I'm thinking he's a football guy. He's going to say that I need to keep him longer in the huddle. And, I'm like, no. I kept them for 3 or 4 seconds. Said, this is what we're doing. Go, and he goes, no, he said, I think the instruction was great. He said, but you didn't have all their attention. And I'm going, how do you not know I had all their attention? He goes, well, because they weren't all looking at you. They weren't all looking you in the eye. And I'm going,
oh yeah, that's a football thing.
Yeah. And I'm going, okay, I get that. But then he came back and said, I think one thing that may help is if you take your sunglasses off when you talk to them. I'm like,
I feel like you've said this before. Where have I heard this?
I may have said it on the podcast, but
maybe.
But I mean, that one right there, it blew my mind because I have to wear sunglasses outside because the glare kills me.
And your light eyes, yeah.
And so I was like, all right, fine, I'll try it. I'll just lift them up when I talk to them, pull them back down. And I would have to say that it worked. I mean, again, I didn't have 100% of them looking at me because some of them just, couldn't care. But, they actually started paying attention because they saw me looking eye to eye with them.
Yeah.
Especially if I was addressing them for doing something wrong. And I'm like, it was just that slightest little, hey, just pull your sunglasses up.
These outdoor sports people, listen up for sure.
And so it was, just things like that, just that simple feedback. And that was the support that I got from an AD that I was able to use from then on out. I mean, I was a new head coach. I mean, I was 24 maybe at the time. And so, I've been able to use that, in all the sports that I've coached so far and use it with my AD. So, that support that I got from the AD at that point actually made me a better coach, made me a better leader, maybe at everything, things like that. So now I'm aware of it.
Yes.
That, okay, I've got sunglasses on. I may need to, not that it's wrong to have sunglasses on, right?
Yeah.
We live in the whole Dion's era now.
That's right.
Again,
prime time.
That's right. I love my sunglasses. I've got me some coming. I don't know when they'll come, but I got me some coming. And but just the
lose mine all the time. I got to get them at 5 below. So if I step on them or they get thrown on the back seat, it's fine. Just get another pair.
So, but yeah, I mean, so just different things like that, and just how can we, help? Because some coaches are like don't tell me how to coach.
I got this.
I got this. And I'm like, okay, well then, you're either going to have the kids against you, the parents against you, or you might not be here because we say you're not doing, a good job. But
well, I think that's definitely something I'm taking out of this is when I do a walkthrough, make sure that every time I'm giving feedback to that coach about things that looked really great, again, so that they feel valued and seen, but give them little tips and tricks that I've learned along the way, because a lot of the middle school coaches are generally younger, newer coaches. And why not help them? Give them a little tip, like take your sunglasses off, to help get their attention that they can use for the rest of their coaching career, and hopefully share with some other coaches to really truly make an impact. That's awesome. I'm using this.
And this is a personal thing, but if you can help coaches realize to get the kids out of drill lines, then that's huge. Again, I don't know how it would look in your sports, but if you can figure out a way to help those coaches, one, I think it's going to help with team management, if you want to say. It's not classroom management, but team management and boredom and things like that, is trying to make everything active, right? And I very rarely try to do drill lines. And if it was a drill line, it was a very short drill line where they only had a second or two to stand there and they were off again. So again, just different thing. I think that a lot of people don't think about that in a sense of support. We think about, okay, we need to help with paperwork, we need to help with some PD stuff, we need to help with this and that, the other. But a huge part of support too is to coach the coaches.
Yeah.
Right?
And a lot of that can come from PD. Like you can have a PD with your soccer coaches where your head coach has maybe gone to that clinic that you're talking about during dead week, and they bring back all of this information like, hey, the newest thing with doing this particular drill is not to do it this way. And don't give them conditioning. Make sure any conditioning is sport specific. Here are some different ideas. All of those things, like making sure that we're providing them with the opportunity to learn. Even if your district can't send every coach to a clinic, send one and give them the opportunity, facilitate the time spent together for that one coach that went to teach the other coaches. But truly, like getting away from old practice techniques and kind of getting into 2023, 2024 with what works for today's kids. We all know that teaching in the classroom is completely different than it was even 10 years ago. Why are we trying to coach the same way? You can still coach hard. You can still have high expectations. But instead of just, hey, run around the field 5 times for your punishment, let's do some cardio, speed, and agility work that's going to still get that conditioning piece in, but also be sport specific. Like we're working on our agility for tennis as we're doing this because we couldn't manage to get to practice on time or whatever it looks like. But always make it sport specific. It's huge. And I think a lot of our coaches could really learn from all those kinds of things that are being taught at coaches clinics. Yeah.
And gone are the days, again, you're not supposed to call them anymore, but gone are the days of suicides, right?
Oh yeah.
Those get on the lines. Now I've done it, right? I actually did.
Same.
We were at a soccer game and we were getting killed. I mean, the team we were playing was better than us, but they weren't that much better than us. And we were getting killed. I think it was like 7 or 8-0 at halftime, and I was done, right? It was, the girls weren't trying or anything. So halftime comes, I said, either I'm going to get fired or the parents are going to love me. All right. There's no in the middle with this fixing to happen. So this is halftime. We go over to our corner. And all the girls come over there, and I said, put your water bottles down. And then they're like, what? I said, get on the line. And so for the whole 10 minutes of halftime, we ran gassers. And then at the end, I said, all right, y'all ready to play? And so, of course, like, whatever. But hey, we played a great second half. They only scored on us once in the second half. Again, they probably had their second
happening. Yeah, it really is. My 7-year-old had a game on Saturday, a soccer game, and we were winning 3-0 at the halftime, and it's 7-year-olds, right? We're winning 3-0 at halftime. Like they call half, we go over and like we're like, yay, Capri Suns, and the other team's coach is like, that's 3, they scored 3, run 3 laps. And all their kids like start running laps around the little soccer field. They had to run 3 laps because we had scored 3 goals. I was like, what's happening? There's 7. My kid's like, oh, look, a flower. And the other team's running 3 laps because we scored 3 goals. We got lucky. We're not good.
Yeah.
They're still doing it.
there's a time and a place for it. Like my basketball, and these are things, again, we're kind of going off on a rabbit hole, but these are things that that you can teach your coaches though. Is my basketball team, and I got this from Instagram Reels or TikTok or something. I saw it, and people may have seen it. I think Florida men's basketball is who put it out there, but it was basically a tag with the basketball. And they were throwing it around. There was no dribble, and you had to actually take the ball and tag the other team. But it was a very good team and moving and vision drill.
And working on agility, working on all the things that you need to be aware of in basketball.
So I'm like, all right, we're going to try it. So in the first couple of times, for whatever reason, the 7th and 8th grade girls decided they wanted to throw the balls at people. And so that was a whole nother, like, that was a control yourself, because I'm going off. What are you doing? And I was like, when do you ever throw a basketball at somebody? And so then once we finally figured it out, right, they were exhausted afterwards. And they're like, this. And so then I use, not as a quote unquote punishment, but if we needed some conditioning for whatever reason, right? We're playing tag, and they were like, oh, I mean, y'all hated it, but then because it was so exhausting. Doing it. Yeah. But it's because what my team captain was even the same way. She goes, on the club, we run all the time. I said, Coach, we don't do any conditioning here. I'm like, you not tired? I said, by the end of our hour and a half, are you not tired? And she goes, yeah. I said, okay. I was a good answer, because if you would have said no, but
it's sport specific movements too, versus just run up and down the bleachers a few times. You're doing very sport specific movements in a game like atmosphere where they're enjoying themselves. Yes, they're tired, but they're having fun while they're doing it. And that's what 21st century learners are needing. That's what our student athletes in 2023 need. They need to have fun. They need to learn to enjoy the process. Some of them, especially in education-based athletics, like teaching them to have fun with conditioning. They don't even realize they're doing it, and they're working their butts off.
Yeah. So like I said, all of that is come from, like I said, people listening, and it's come from the experiences as a coach, and able to bring that experience as a coach into helping your coaches, and again, coaching the coaches, and so learning different things like that. So that's a lot of good stuff. I think we can go on for hours talking about this stuff, but
it's already been an hour. So
that's right. So we're going to kind of wrap up this section. We'll and then have a little ad break, and then we're going to see what Lyndsay's doing to better herself, right? We've been talking about bettering our coaches, so we're going to see what she's doing to better ourselves. So we'd like to thank our title sponsor, Wall of Fame, or Vital Signs Wall of Fame, for allowing us to continue to do this in season 2. So please check them out, especially if you're going to NADC. They will have a booth in the vendor hall. So make sure you stop by and see them, and come by and see us Sunday night for the Meet the Podcasters. Again, you can get more information at the Vital Signs booth or the Box Out booth there in NADC. So again, want to say special thanks to John and the people over at Vital Signs. So Lyndsay, what are you doing to get better so that some of the ADs listening can do?
I constantly read anything and everything to help me grow as a leader, and to help our coaches grow as coaches, so that our programs can be, our product be producing the best humans that we can produce to put out into our community and into our world. So one book that I'm almost done with right now, Rooted to Rise by Sherry Cole. And it's just talking about like the redwood trees rely on one another, like their roots go into the ground and they kind of grab onto each other to keep such tall trees from blowing over in wind and stuff. They support one another. And she kind of uses a bunch of people, or talks about a bunch of people throughout her life that have kind of given her the perspective that she has on leaving a legacy, on living with purpose, and on coaching athletes. So Rooted to Rise, Sherry Cole, OU women's basketball coach, phenomenal. And then one thing that I actually just got in yesterday is this book, How to Lead When You're Not in Charge, just to help me be the best assistant athletic director that I can be. It's about leveraging your influence with the people that are working with you, and kind of making sure that you're doing everything that you can to support them, in addition to your upper administration. So that's one I'm actually starting hopefully this evening after our Plainsman wrestling showcase. So just constantly reading and listening to podcasts whenever I do work out. As you know, AD duties are all day, all duties, after dark, all the things. When I do have time to go for a walk or go for a run, that's what I do. I podcast, listening to, I have like 3 or 4 that I kind of just play one of yours and one of the next one and one of the next, as I'm running. So podcasts are hugely impactful because it's something you can listen to in the car. You can listen to it while you're working out anytime. When you have a free moment in your office while you're answering emails in that hour a day you've put aside for that. But really just like being eager to learn, willing and wanting to learn is hugely impactful in what we do as servant leaders. So those are my things for now. Legacy, if you haven't read Legacy, it's amazing about the All Blacks. Where's that at? Legacy by James Kerr. Amazing. Hugely impactful on teams. My husband is our head volleyball coach, and he learned a ton from this book that he put into practice this year with his program to kind of get them to function more as a unit instead of as individuals. So lots of really good things.
Yeah, that's great. I'm not so much of a reader, but I am a podcast listener. So
Yes.
I definitely listen to the different podcasts to and from work. And especially, last year I had an hour drive to work, and sometimes it was an hour and a half, 2 hours coming back, depending on traffic and things like that. So I was able to get some good listening time in. But right along with that, again, if by the time you listen to this, I think we're probably gonna be 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out from NADC. Just take all of that information we talked about. If you're still listening to us, thank you first of all.
So long. Sorry.
But take all that, and when you go to Orlando, just take it all in. I remember the first time I went, it was actually in Orlando. So this is kind of a coming home, full circle thing. But I remember I wrote so many notes. I took it back. And I think the biggest thing I got out of that first conference was a 2-week schedule that I've still used today, that I send out to my coaches, my admin, to my custodial staff, to the cafeterias, to anybody that needs to know what's happening. And the reason why they say we send out a 2-week schedule versus a week schedule, because you're always looking ahead. So
Absolutely.
then that second week becomes the first week, and now you got to, so again, I never thought about that, especially being a first year AD. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna send out the what's happening this week. But the office staff, the custodial staff, the admin, they need to know what's happening next week, especially if something has changed, right? So please make sure you hit. And then that was in a workshop. That was in one of those 45-minute workshops. That wasn't even in an LTC class. So please make sure that you get the most out of it. Again, someone asked me the other day what the most kind of the busiest days of NADC is. I said Sunday through Tuesday. There's some stuff happening Friday and Saturday, but Sunday and Tuesday, if you can pack it as much in as possible, I think you'll be able to get a bunch out of it. So like I said, we'll be down there. I think Lyndsay will be down there too. And like I said earlier, please stop by and see us Sunday night. I think it's going to be around 8:15. We don't know the room yet, but again, if you stop by, or if you follow myself on AD Freddy on Twitter, I'll definitely put the room out there, room number there. But also stop by the Vital Signs booth. You can also stop by and come see me at the box out booth on Sunday. I'll tell you where to go. But please come see us Sunday night and just hang out. Hey, grab a quick drink. We'll have some drinks and fellowship with myself and the other AD focused podcast that Vital Signs supports. So we look forward to that, and hopefully Lyndsay will stop by and you can put a face with a voice as well. But
absolutely, I'd love to. Of course, I'll stop by.
That's right. Hey, we got to continue this conversation. So
for real,
it's going to go on for a while. And no, I appreciate it, Lyndsay. Again, thanks for jumping on. I know it's it's about an hour by the time we actually hit record, and so we're about right. And so
Well,
no,
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much. I learned so much from you. I can't wait to go back and implement these things that you've taught me about today. So thank you.
well, Google Keep saved my
Google
life.
Keep,
So
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was one of the ones that when I learned about it a couple years, I was like, oh, where's this been?
I know. And I'm going to send you my spreadsheet that we made for our schedules with all the transportation and everything on it. I'll send it to you. You can make it your own.
There you go. Yep. Like I said, well, if you take it 6:13 Monday morning, you'll get a spreadsheet from Lyndsay and Enid. So we'll make sure we blast that for you as well. But again, until next time, like I said, I think you're listening to this on Black Friday. We look forward to seeing everybody in a couple weeks in Orlando. So safe travels, whether you're driving or flying, and we look forward to see everybody. But thank you for listening.
See you in a couple weeks.
At the Wall of Fame, our mission is to bring your school's legacy to life. We transform school tributes to make it easier than ever to celebrate your whole community, showcasing your school's diverse history, proudest moments, and top role models. We understand that the true value of our Wall of Fame is in your content. Whether you are starting a new tribute or adding to an existing one, we give you all the resources you need to build an interactive experience and take your content to the next level. For more information about the Wall of Fame and a 5% discount, visit vitalsignswalloffame.com/Freddie.